It's a Tuesday afternoon, late October. Maya sits in her car in a half-empty parking lot, engine off, hands still on the wheel. In her lap, a single folded sheet of paper, soft at the creases, like it's been folded and unfolded 100 times. She isn't crying. That's the part that surprises her. 3 weeks ago, her mother fell in the bathroom at home. A hip, not broken, just bruised enough to end an argument neither of them wanted to have about whether Claire should still be living alone. She found this 15 minutes ago in a drawer her mother hadn't opened in years, under a stack of birthday cards and an expired passport. 6 lines in her mother's handwriting. A date at the top, 1987. Lisbon, a train through the Alps. Her own mother's village in Kerala. A night market in Bangkok. 6 dreams, and beside each one, the same 3 words, written and rewritten in different ink. Next year. None of them happened. This is not a story about a mother. This is not even a story about regret. This is a story about a window, one that closes on its own schedule, whether or not you're ready, and never once tells you when. Until the day Maya opened a drawer she wasn't supposed to be in. Rewind to 1987. Claire is 35. 4-year-old Maya is asleep down the hall, nightlight on, door cracked open 2 inches, exactly the way she likes it. At the kitchen table, after the dishes, Claire writes the list. 6 places, 6 dreams, in handwriting that hasn't changed in 40 years. Claire presses the pen down hard on each word, the way you do when you mean something. David looks over her shoulder and laughs, not unkindly, asking when they're doing all this. Claire tells him when Maya's older, when there's more room. There is $4,200 in their savings account that night. Enough almost for the first trip on the list, a flight, a week, a hotel with a view they'd circled in a magazine. The math was never the problem. The math was always fine. Outside, a kettle clicks off. The radio plays something neither of them is really listening to. This is what reasonable looks like. Quiet, warm, completely ordinary. The kind of evening nobody ever remembers as the night something was decided. She folds the paper, puts it in the drawer under the spare batteries and the warranty cards, closes it. Nobody is choosing to lose Lisbon. Nobody is choosing anything really. They're just choosing dinner and bedtime and tomorrow. It feels less like a decision and more like a pause button. 7 years on. The house has a 2nd floor now, paid for in installments at 9% interest, the kind banks don't offer anymore. Maya is 11, all elbows and homework, and the list is still in the drawer. Moved once when they repainted, then put back exactly where it was, exactly as folded. David brings it up himself this time, half joking, holding a travel brochure with a curled corner, wondering aloud if maybe this is the year. Claire does the math out loud, the way she always does. The roof needs work in spring, call it $3,000. Maya's school fees are due in March. There's a number for later, and it always wins because later never has to defend itself in front of anyone. She tells him after the renovation, once things settle. Things do not settle. They never quite do. Not because life is chaos, but because something reasonable always arrives exactly on schedule to replace the last reasonable thing. She writes nothing new on the list. She doesn't need to. Next year was already there, waiting, patient as a debt that never sends a notice, never charges interest, never once announces itself as the choice it actually is. David tucks the brochure into the same drawer. It will still be there in 2003, slightly more yellow at the edges. Maya is 20, away at college, and the house is quieter than Claire remembers it ever being. For the first time, there's actually money sitting still. Savings that have grown past the number that used to feel impossible. Sitting in an account earning almost nothing, doing almost nothing. This should be the year. Even Claire thinks so briefly, standing in the kitchen with the old list in her hand, the paper noticeably softer now. But David is a few years from retirement, and Claire has built a quiet rule for herself without ever saying it out loud. "We go together, or we don't go at all," she tells her sister on the phone, twisting the cord around one finger, that once David retires, they'll really do it. Properly, not rushed. It is, on paper, the most sensible plan she has ever made. What the plan doesn't account for is that together has a window too, and nobody is timing that one. The list goes back in the drawer. Maya, calling from her dorm that night, asks what her mother's been up to. "Oh, nothing much," Claire tells her, looking at the folded paper on the table. "Just thinking about a trip." David retires in spring. They actually book something this time, a real flight, a real date circled in red on the kitchen calendar, a deposit already paid. 6 weeks before the trip, Claire's knee buckles on the stairs. No warning, no drama. Just a small, ordinary failure of cartilage that's been quietly wearing down for years, unannounced, the way these things always are. The doctor's word is manageable. His other word, gentler but final, rules out the Alps this year. Maybe rules out that particular trek for good. Claire cancels the flight herself, on hold for 40 minutes, the deposit half refunded. She tells David it's fine, there'll be other years, and she almost believes it while she's saying it out loud to him. This is the first time the list loses something it can't get back. Not money, not even time exactly. Capacity. The part of the equation nobody puts in the spreadsheet because nobody wants to believe it carries its own clock, running quietly underneath the financial one. She doesn't take the list out again for a long while after that. Back in the present, 15 minutes before the parking lot, Maya sits beside her mother's bed, the folded list now open between them on the blanket, a paper cup of water going warm on the nightstand. "You kept it," Maya says. Not a question. Claire looks at it the way you'd look at an old photograph of a stranger who happens to share your name. She reads it every few years, she says, not because it makes her sad. Maya waits for the sad part anyway. It doesn't come. Claire's voice, when it comes, is steady, almost amused at herself, the way people get when they've finally made peace with something.
"I wasn't tired of dreaming. I just kept being reasonable, right up until reasonable was the only thing I had left to be."
Maya doesn't say anything for a moment. Outside the window, the parking lot is half empty in the late afternoon light, one car catching the sun on its windshield. The argument from 3 weeks ago, the one about independence, about the fall, about whether Claire should still be living alone, suddenly looks smaller than it did this morning. It was never really about the bathroom floor. Something reasonable is always waiting to arrive exactly on schedule. It arrived for Claire 8 times across 39 years. Today, in this room, it has just arrived for Maya, except this time she can see it coming. "Take it," Claire says, nodding at the list. She doesn't need it anymore. She already knows how it ends. Maya sits in her car, engine off, hands on the wheel, the list folded once more on the passenger seat. This is exactly where the video began. It looks the same. It isn't. She opens her banking app, almost without deciding to. There's an account near the bottom labeled Someday. $14,000. Untouched for 6 years. Earning 0.4% interest, growing slower than the years are passing, slower than anything that actually matters is moving. The math was never the problem. The math was always fine. She doesn't book anything. She doesn't delete the label either. She just sits there, the screen lighting up her face in the gray afternoon, the same folded paper on the seat beside her. 6 dreams, 1 new line at the bottom, not yet written, the pen still in her bag. The window is still open, for now. The screen goes dark on its own. Maya doesn't reach for it. The window doesn't close all at once. That's the part nobody tells you.